everyone. Welcome to my personal Twitch channel, and also welcome to my wonderful friends who are joining me for this very special, spooky Halloween Sarzameen game about past lives. Since we're not really a channel and I don't have things to plug, we can just start however we want. So what I'm gonna do is gonna start with our player introductions. So I'm gonna quickly go around the virtual table, tell me who you are and where we can find you on the internet, and then we will start the game with our character intros. So let's start with person on my left, and that is Gemma.
Hello and happy Halloween, everybody. My name is Gemma. I go by Kupo Night on the Discords and Twitter. You can find me at Kupo Night Twitter. On Twitter, the O is with a 0. Yeah, that's where you can find me. And today, should I introduce who I'm playing?
We'll
now?
go over that. Well, you can just say quickly who you're playing, but we'll do the proper intro after.
Okay, and I will be playing Nor, an elf ranger.
Awesome. And next, this side. Yeah, because I have this weird mirror thing. We have Morgan.
Oh, hi. Yes, hello. I am Morgan. Yeah.
That's it. I'm Morgan.
That's it. That's all you need to know. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Serena Bezos. I play games and I do a lot of game stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. Next, we have Simon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Simon. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. And tonight I will be playing Varsha, a human cleric.
Awesome. Next, we have Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren. You can find me, you can find the complete list of stuff I do and places I am on my website, lwsalinas.com. I am Sith Witch in various places, or Sith Witch 13, depending on if someone else got it first. And tonight I'm going to be playing Nazim, the Air Genasi nerd wizard.
All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Russ.
Hi everyone, I'm Russ. You can find me on Twitter at RussWildest, and I will be playing Dajan, the half-orc fighter.
Awesome. So the game that we're playing today is a bit of a mashup / hack of PbtA in general. I am using Dungeon World playbooks for this, but I'm also making use of a couple of new rules that I totally didn't make up last week, and totally not doing it for the first time ever live. Not at all. So we will begin. This story takes place in the Haveli, which is also a very big estate or mansion. We'll start a little bit with our player introductions as I set the scene for all of you. So something happened in this Haveli a long time ago. It was thriving. It belonged to a family of half-orcs. It was a very noble lineage. And then suddenly something happened about 30 years ago. And the place now lies in ruins, unloved and uncared for. However, there is a caretaker, which is Varsha. And Varsha, describe to me a little bit about yourself right now and why you're here.
Sure. So Varsha is a human woman. She is about in her early 60s, mid 60s. She has sad eyes, strange hair, flowing robes, and a thin body. That strange hair is she has gray waving hair, but it's studded with flowers and vines because she is a cleric of earth and the land. and she has been living in this area as the caretaker of the house, because something happened here, and she regrets what happened. She feels responsible for taking care of the wayward spirits and the darkness of the house, and wants to make sure that the right people are the ones that get to explore it, and that common folk are not harmed by whatever dark magics and painful memories may still reside within it.
Okay, and I believe you have recently been contacted by a young mage who is interested in the history and the lore of the place.
Yes.
Nassim, would you like to describe yourself and what you're doing here?
Okay. Nassim is about, I guess, early to mid 20s, an Air Genasi, tall, thin, kind of grayish blue skin and gray white hair that just, it's short, but it's kind of wild, kind of always like, you know, in movies when there's somebody who has like the hair like that. Okay, but it's less graceful and more just always out of place. And they've been very interested in stories about places where weird stuff is happening and wondering, is it connected to is it magic leaking through? Is it like, what is it? So they've heard about this mansion and, you know, did some reading on it, but it's kind of not as much as they usually would like for this subject. So they've actually had to go out and talk to a person, which they're not the hugest fan of, but yeah, it needs to be done. Knowledge must happen.
Yeah. And how do you think that conversation went?
So Nazim kind of babbles when they're nervous and is would be just kind of all over the place and take forever to get to the point and go off on a lot of tangents and just very, very obviously nervous and excited about this place and about meeting the caretaker.
Yeah, and Varsha is patient. She's learned to be very gracious with people over time. That's part of her work as being a priest and as a healer. But in the process of Nassim's excitement, I think she recognizes something familiar in Nassim's eyes, feels some sort of kinship that stretches back into time. And she wants to explore that. So, for all of Nassim's idiosyncrasies, she is very interested in hearing them out, and suggests, well, if we're going to actually look at this place in earnest, we'd better find some competent people to help us, because it's a potentially dangerous thing, and I want to make sure that we're prepared. So I think they go off in search of kindred spirits.
Yeah, and with that, the two of you come across two, I guess, mercenaries for hire or people who are looking to get a little extra money. At this point, Noor, would you like to describe yourself?
Sure. Noor is a ranger. Their wardrobes are definitely for someone who definitely lives in the sands. They wear a sand off-white dhoti and a kurta. In the desert winds, they're known to have maybe a wrap to cover their head and their mouth from the winds. Dark-skinned, long black hair, although shaved on the sides and then long on the other side. And and then forest green eyes. And I took on this job, like with the reasons of most jobs, the money. The area I come from is very nomadic, so it's more of a fend for yourself. So I'm here to collect some reward.
And you have, I suppose, a partner in crime of sorts. Someone who works alongside with you, sort of gives you some backup, perhaps. And that would be Darjan.
So Darjan is a half orc, around like 6, 8, 7 feet tall or so. They have this very, I wouldn't say plum, but like light purple skin, very lavender sort of, with 2 sharp tusks coming out from their bottom jaw. Their head is completely shaved, and their eyes give off this very hardened and harsh look at first glance. But underneath that, there's this very kindness behind it. In addition, they wear very light clothing, besides some heavy armor plating on their legs and all around their body. They don't wear like heavy plate armor or anything, but just sort of straps of it everywhere. And you notice that both of their arms, from the elbow down, are prosthetics made of metal.
Okay. So before we go into the journey that the 4 of you are making to this house, as it's a little out in the middle of nowhere, let's cut to Maggie. Maggie, you're already at this house. You're standing in front of it. Why are you here? And describe yourself a little.
So as the camera cuts to Maggie, I guess the standing in front of the house, looking up at it, you actually see a half-orc woman who's about kind of on the short end, like 5'6" or so for half-orcs. But she has like the light green skin with tons of dark green freckles just all over her face and hands and arms. She's got these like really tough criminal eyes. As criminal you can describe criminals, so I'm gonna say that they're like that piercing, like white blue almost. You know how like light blue eyes are almost like a whitish color in a way. Mm-hmm. She's got messy hair, so her hair's like a dark brown, and it's long, but it's in a braid that's been there for like a week, so you know it's falling off, falling out of its little braid and stuff. Common clothes, so she just sort of looks like just someone just around, and a really lithe body. So she's short for a half orc and very thin to compared to most half orcs as well. So, and she doesn't have any tusk. And she's staring there, looking at this house, checking out ways to get in. And the reason why she's here is because she heard that there may still be a deed floating around in the house. And her quick scheme is to go in, get the deed, and just say that this was a long lost relative's house. This is part of her family, and this is her home.
All right.
Yeah.
So I will say that there's basically no security whatsoever. You can just walk in. No one's looking right now. It's definitely, I mean, there are a couple of signs that are basically saying, like hazards, like, falling, whatever, like keep out. General sort of keep out for public safety stuff. But there's no one here to stand in your way. What do you do?
I just guess I'm gonna first do a lap, make sure that there's other exits and entrances and stuff around the house, just to get an eye, see how the windows are, because you gotta know your way out of these places. Mm-hmm. And then with that, test the front door, see if it'll open, make sure it's not trapped, and then just let herself in and shut the door behind her.
Yeah. You see a giant sort of foyer, sort of, um, uh, yeah, foyer and sort of like a lobby area where people are in, like, where words fail me. But where people are greeted and they can sort of hang there. There's like a double staircase. There you get, and there's like a chandelier above that has like fraying ropes. You can see um, old wax candles that were there. Uh, it's it's not as dusty and gone to ruin outside, but it also, there are cobwebs. You see many um, portraits that, or like large portraits, you think probably of the lords of this place, that are covered with some sort of a uh, like protecting cloth. And you see that upstairs there's probably like bedrooms and residences over there.
All right. And since I think I have all the time in the world, she's just going to look left, look right, and just go into the first room to the left and start digging around.
All right, and with that, we're gonna cut back to the rest, to everyone else. Uh, you, as you all are traveling together, uh, what sort of conversations do you have?
I look at Darjan and I poke them with the spear and go, "Have you heard the rumors about this place?"
No. What rumors?
Oh, just standard haunted stories. Ghosts lurking, spirits unrestful.
I do not know if I could punch a ghost.
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
It would require certainly greater means than a sword. But I am most intrigued by your, forgive me if this is too personal, your hands. I've never seen a mercenary bear such armaments before.
And they hold out their hands, and their hands are very expertly made. There's some exposed like gears and like connections, but they look very much like human hands or people's hands because they're half orc. And they look down at them and say, "Yes, I lost my arms a long time ago and had to make do."
Well, I think they're beautiful. Those are so very interestingly crafted. Can I see them closer? I mean, you don't have to say yes.
Sure.
But they look real. Okay.
And they hold out one of their arms towards you.
And Nassim's going to grab it and just kind of be moving awkwardly, I'm guessing, trying to look at it and, oh, okay, I have no idea how they did this. This is not my expertise, but it's beautiful and it's amazing.
Varsha, how do you feel as the two are interacting?
This sort of banter feels oddly familiar. Varsha has felt that Nassim, like she knew Nassim somehow, even though she's never seen anyone quite like Nassim before. She can't shake the feeling that somewhere she's met this person before. And as Nassim is like fiddling with the hands and like taking notes, and as Darjan is sort of like, oh, well, here you go. Watching the two play, it's like she's struck with this wave of like, she stops for a moment, like kind of loses her breath, leans on her staff, like, forgive me. It's been some time since I've seen such mirth. I am accustomed to taking care of a place which is rather devoid of joy right now.
Yeah, you don't typically hear a lot about happy ghosts. I mean, I don't know why that is, but every time you hear about ghosts, they're sad and they're moaning and they throw things, and that's one of the things I'm actually hoping to research. I know I'm talking your ears off about this, but this could be an extremely important thing to study.
And at this point, Versha, you have a bit of a flashback to another time
Mm.
where you heard the exact same phrase, where it's like, I know I'm just by docking your ear off. And at this point, I'd like to have a very quick scene between Darjan, Nasim, and Varsha, where the two of you are talking about something, probably the hands. But what do you think? Why don't you tell me a little bit about your past characters now? We'll start with either Nasim or Darjan if you want to begin.
Well, in their past life, Nazim was also a wizard and was studying places of power, just anywhere where things seem to sort of bubble up and spill over. And would have been it would have been a primary, sort of their primary mode of being, really, until they met past Darjan. And then it's like, okay, I guess I could balance these. That's a thing you can do, have balance in your life.
Darjan is, or at least the past Darjan, is still a half orc, but they're shorter than they are currently. They're about 6 feet tall. They have this very sea green skin now. They're still a fighter like they are in the future, but they use a sword and a shield as their primary method of combat. And they're more open. This Darjan is very open and honest with their feelings and very much a person who jokes around and smiles a lot. And when they meet Nasim and see how over the top they are, it just brings so much joy to Darjan.
Yeah, past Nazim has way less anxiety and a lot more just exuberance at life. So when they met past Darjan, they would have at first started trying to maybe get under their skin a little bit, but found out, oh, hey, okay, this person can joke with me. And it's, you know, I was happy before, but now it's way more happy. Everything is going to be great.
I think the two of them definitely met with Darjan was on a mission or something to investigate something or go after someone who had broken into a place. And Nasim just happened to be there. They weren't the person.
Nasim might have been broken into the place.
And Noor, who do you think you would have been accompanying when that happened?
I was probably accompanying Nasim. Past Noor is almost the opposite. Noor in the present is very comfortable in their own skin, confident. Whereas Noor here is not a ranger; they're a cleric, and they're definitely more on the quiet side. Not shy, just keeps to themselves. It takes a lot to get close to someone. So they only have their two best friends, Darjan and Asim. But right now, I'm hanging out with Nasim and trying, and not because I wanted to go, it's more of so that Nasim doesn't get hurt or in trouble, or like just kind of watching out, because they can get really excited on things and kind of not get the whole picture and see their surroundings.
Yeah, Nazim would definitely feel that it's their duty to lighten up Noor, and they are definitely kind of in the attitude of, oh, everything will work out. Let's just go with it.
No. Things might happen. Preparedness is the best course of action.
It'll all work out. It's fine.
Not last time when we snuck into the library, but
okay, one time.
So
in the past month.
As you're discussing this, you hear rubble shift. And Darjan sort of walks in at the same time, and you all...
What did I say?
I don't think you two were supposed to be here.
And Varsha is accompanying you, Darjan.
Yeah.
Darjan. Oh dear.
Who is... Really?
Maybe. Look, I'm not gonna hurt anything. I'm looking. There's no harm in looking.
You can look, but usually you ask first.
Ask now, ask later. One of these is going to get me answers sooner, and I like that one.
I'm sorry. I knew I should have said something, but I mean, it's Nasim.
Okay. Come on. Get out.
Okay.
Let's go.
One thing. Can I just do one thing first?
Come on, Nasim. Let's just go.
What is your one thing? I'm curious.
I want to take some magical readings.
I just roll my eyes.
That's totally a thing. And you can't prove otherwise.
At this point, you hear a roar far off where the rubble is shifting.
Oh dear.
Oh, good. You woke her up. Great job.
We'll coo up.
And at this point, you see a very cranky owlbear walk out.
Note to self, owlbears like it here.
Note to self, never go with Nasim again.
We'll be laughing about this after dinner.
At this point, Darjan is just going to walk over to both of them and just pick one up under each arm and just start running.
And at this point, as the owlbear starts chasing you, the owlbear morphs into a small owl that's actually sort of following and chasing Noor around as you are approaching the house in present day. At this point, Varsha, you notice that there's a couple of... even though you know this place has not been disturbed, you sense a disturbance in the force.
Yes. Things are not as they seem. Like there's like footprints maybe in the dust that like she knows the stoop. She's been through this whole place. She's got every inch of the exterior memorized, and like those 3 pebbles were not there before. So she has this moment of like eyes glazed over, like staring off in the distance as they're watching the interaction, like snaps back to reality, and then looks and sees these things that are a little off, and sort of leans on her staff, looks around, and says, yes, as I was saying, this the sanctity of this place has been undisturbed for quite some time. However, I fear your curiosity may be well needed. Perhaps we may not be alone here. My new friend, would you, the two of you actually, gestures to Darjan and Noor, would you mind taking the front, lest there be some ne'er-do-wells sneaking about?
No problem.
Thank you. It is my hope that I am being far too cautious, but I would like your first encounter with this place, ancient and strange as it is, to be relatively uneventful.
Darjan just like gives a big sigh, and clenches one of their fists, and it drops from their wrist on like a metal chain and grows spikes out of it.
Oh, that's really interesting.
All
And they
right.
say, let's keep going, I guess.
So Maggie, as you are as you enter this room and you see that it's some sort of a living room slash study, like some like almost like a day room or something of that sort. The windows are sort of barred, so there's not much in the way of light. Are you lighting something to see what's going on, or are you just relying on your sight?
I'm I'm gonna say that yeah, she doesn't assume anybody's gonna follow her, like, or come in, so she's gonna light a candle. Just one, just to have it with her. She doesn't really need to like light up the whole place or anything, and has it on I guess the coffee table while she's like going around and like filling the ledges and like flipping over portraits to see if there's anything behind them or like hidden safe walls or anything like that. Or
As you're searching, you hear the sound of people entering.
as soon as she hears that, she's gonna go over, clasp her hand around the fire to snuff it, and then just go into sneak mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Darjan and Noor, is everybody following together, like entering together, or is Darjan and Noor sort of investigating the house first before?
I think we will go together.
Okay.
I think Varsha has to like undo some locks or something.
Yeah, you see that for whatever reason, whatever very minor locks that were there have just been kind of like popped open, or you're not quite sure whether someone did it or whether the weather did it. It's not really that great.
Yeah. She's like goes into her robes and pulls aside, like she's got like an outer robe and then an inner one, and as she pulls it aside you can see there's like the glint of chainmail underneath it, and she pulls out a ring of keys. She's like, oh, so the just a moment, it will it's the third from the, and as she's doing that she goes over to reach to the lock, sees that it's undone, and says, oh, well, perhaps I forgot to. Never mind. Puts the keys back and pushes the door open with her staff, and takes a step back and then gestures.
You all, I'd say anyone who wants to do it may do so. Can give me a discern realities.
Sure.
Okay. $19.
Well.
Wait,
Right.
how'd you get 19?
It is a 2d6 system.
It's a 2d6.
I thought I was doing a d20.
Damn.
Oh
In that
man,
case,
Simon, your
6.
luck is still running
I'm
in.
telling you, I don't know what's going on. Roll 20 loves me.
Dang, I got a
Bastard.
7, which is
With-
still a success.
With my -1, I got a 5.
I got a 6.
Okay. All right. So for
Same
those
wavelength.
who got a 7 and higher, I know that Dungeon World has a couple of things for what happens on a mixed success and whatever, but this was just basically for me to figure out whether any of you saw the brief glimmer of candle as it was snuffed out. So Versha and Noor, you definitely see, like, you're for a moment you're just wondering whether it's like, oh wait, did I see that? Did I imagine it? But Versha, you know for a fact that you saw what looked like someone holding a candle inside.
Yeah, she like sees it, squints, and then locks eyes with Noor, and like
I nod and I put my fist up for like silence, and then I kind of scan the room and see if there's anything. And I as I scan the room, I go, what should I be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so you see the flicker coming above the double staircases, and there's like a first room towards the left where it looks like the door's wide open, unlike a lot of the others where some of them are partially open, some of them are closed. This one was like wide open. And especially Versha and Noor, as you're going up, you see little footsteps and dust. Someone was here, definitely. Someone went up there. And you're definitely on the lookout for someone decidedly humanoid, whose footprints you can see on the staircase leading up to where you need to go. But then once it goes into carpet, it's hard to find it, but you know they're in this room somewhere with this flicker of light. However,
Versha, you wouldn't happen to have hired anyone else besides us, did you?
of course not. This place is ancient. No one except for me has even stepped foot any further than the foyer. I would never.
I take an arrow and ready my bow, and I'm like, looks like you have another guest.
Well, perhaps someone has decided to move in.
Are we fighting? Are we gonna fight now?
I should hope not. This place has already seen enough hardship. I would hate for any blood to be spilled today. But perhaps whoever is here, we can resolve this peacefully. Let us see. And so she like takes a step in, looks around, and she's gonna like cast light on her staff to illuminate the place. And so she's in this mode where she's like, wow, someone's in here. They probably know that we're here too. So she starts narrating like a tour, and like raises her eyebrows and like, and as you will see, the house is quite old, of this particular dynasty's construction. If you will turn your eyes over to the staircase, you will see a fine example of sculpture, rendering birds in flight. Yes, beautiful. And so she's like nudging people along to move, but like bullshitting loud enough so that whoever's in here knows, like, yeah, someone's in here with you.
Okay, so Maggie, if you would like, roll me a defy danger dexterity. So you just roll basically dexterity.
Okay.
I think I have to roll to cast that spell too.
How do I use roll 20? I forget.
Okay, so
Okay, I don't hit the arrow. I hit the name. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Stat is dexterity. Submit. 13.
Nice.
Yeah, you find the perfect spot to hide. So when they enter, they know someone's here, but they don't know who or where they are.
No. For my spell, I'm going to choose draw unwelcome attention to myself or put myself in a spot.
Okay.
for the light spell.
Yes. So as you do that, you momentarily blind yourself, I feel, and you kind of knock, like you try to kind of grab something, and as you grab it, you pull down the protective cloth for this giant portrait that is there. And as the portrait, with the light illuminating now, you now see the portrait of two half orcs standing there in like a stately, like it was like a commissioned portrait of like, you know, the family, whatever. And Varsha, you know who this portrait is. It is the portrait of the two what's a family name for the siblings? If you have something, shout it at me. Otherwise, I will make something.
I'm really solid names. Russ, got anything?
The first thing that came to mind was the Troublemakers, but that's just me.
No, I was thinking like a proper, like,
Oh.
with weight, like, noble name. So,
Noble name.
shall we go with, let's go with Singh.
Okay.
Sing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Singh. Yeah.
The Singh siblings.
The Singh siblings. And Maggie. Maggie and Darjan, you both are incredibly shocked when you realize how uncanny the portraits are to yourselves. And at this point, as you are reacting, we go to a flashback where describe to me how the siblings are in their past selves.
Go ahead, Morgan.
I think they got along at first, but it was like that friendly competition sort of thing. But as they got older, maybe like in their teens or something, they started falling apart.
So
That's just me spitballing.
let's imagine you both are actually sitting for that portrait that's on display, and you're in your... Describe to me what pose you're taking and what you're talking about while the portrait is being made.
So Darjan is standing, wearing their soldier outfit with all their laurels and all their like medals and things, very dressed up, very like over the top, sword on the side and everything. Posed very still and kind of just glaring at their sister.
And she's sitting there, like, sort of like back straight, tilted up, and has to hold it. And what she's wearing, like, how she looks, she kind of doesn't look like she feels comfortable in her clothes because she's forced to wear, like, one of those really nice sarongs with all the jewelry and, like, and so she was forced to, like, put the stuff up, but really she just has one of those builds that's not really meant for like that's softer. She even though she is lithe and thin, she has a muscular like undertone, like a gymnast almost. And wearing like this dress, she's just like, I hate this so much.
Should have just joined the army like I told you to.
Stand still! Yeah. And you see there's like this really crotchety old painter just like painting and then just quickly rubs something out, like sort of irritated at the two of you.
I mean, I don't think the military's for me though. You know that.
But then you wouldn't be wearing that.
Mom made me wear it though. That's what really it is. She wanted me to look nice for the painting.
Well, that's because normally all you wear is black.
Because it's comfortable.
I don't know how a color is more comfortable.
You don't understand, especially wearing that. I mean, how can you be comfortable with that sword just chilling on your hip like that?
I've crossed many, many miles with a sword chilling on my hip, as you say so eloquently.
I mean, I'm learning how to...
shield strapped to my back.
Yeah, and I'm learning how to be with the people. I mean, we gotta know who's around us, right?
Be with the people.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going with?
Yeah, I mean, like, I like this house, I like this, but this high society stuff is just, it's stuffy.
It's stuffy, but it's what we live with. It's what we have to do.
Mm.
Maybe if you focused a little more and polished up your act, this would be a little more comfortable for you.
Yeah, if you learn how to gain some sense of humility, you know how to treat people better. And she's just gonna turn and like try to straighten herself up again and just ignore whatever else is coming from them.
And at this point, you see your mother walk in, both of your mothers walk in, and looks at the painting and looks at the both of you and says, "Oh, Darjan, my sweetheart, you look fabulous. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Darjan." And
Thank you, Mama.
And Maggie, please straighten your shoulders. It doesn't look ladylike.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, if you're going to marry into a good house,
Oh God, here we go again.
you really need to, like, you should be more like Darjan.
Why? Like,
Learn
and
how
being a military brat like him, like she just breaks like slumps and just like turns.
and you
just...
hear an indignant squawk coming out from the painter.
sorry. And she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like them? That's no.
I will say that perhaps Maggie has no interest in marriage, and I support her in that, although I do wish that she'd attend more of the formal events that we have.
Why? They're so boring."
Well, it's a good thing that Darjan is going to be the one to take over and not you then.
You will always have a place in this house.
Yeah, I suppose. And she actually just gets kind of quiet and just like, because that kind of stung her a bit. So, she's not saying it, but the vibe in the air, at least towards Darjan, it just sort of, she just gets quiet and just sits there.
And as your mother walks away, she just turns back and says, "Well, you know, if you get married, at least you can especially married into a good place, you can keep the lifestyle you were so accustomed to without having to behave. You can do whatever you want." And she just walks away.
As soon as she turns out of the way and thing, Maggie just turns and like gives her like a face like and then before the painter says anything,
and the painter just like
Darjan, back before their mother entered the room, was trying to be very playful, but now that their mother has said these things, is giving Maggie a very defensive sort of look, or like maybe towards their mother as they leave, just like not happy with what was just said.
Oh, there's also something else your mother says before leaving. It's like, well, what are you gonna do once they find a partner of their own and decide to start their own family? Where will you be? That was also something that was said before leaving.
Yeah. They are not happy with that statement either.
She'd be like, "I don't know. I'll figure it out when that happens."
And with that, you come back to yourselves in this musty old room with the portrait. And Maggie, do you break silence? Or do you... Actually, you know what? Give me a defy danger...
You mean another
wisdom.
one?
Yeah, wisdom. Or...
Wait, with wisdom?
Yeah. Because...
That one.
You're trying to keep your cool just a little.
6, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
so you mark
not cool.
experience, and you hear a little gasp. Everyone else.
How do you? No, it's just experience. Okay.
I whip around towards the little gasp.
And Maggie, you're pretty sure you've just been caught.
Yeah,
Who's
gasp. I'm like, oh shit.
Did you say that?
No, it's like underneath your breath.
Definitely hear that.
Okay.
You're like,
We know you're here already, so you might as well just come out.
yeah. So what was in here? It was like 2 couches, a dining, like a coffee table.
Yeah, coffee table, a bookshelf, probably like it's sort of like a day room where people could sit and either converse or do things, like stitch or knit or play cards or something or read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to think of where a good hiding space is in
Probably curtains.
Curtains. Unless the couch is pretty high up, she squeezed underneath the couch.
Yeah. Oh
So-
yeah, that we could totally do that as well.
Yeah. So I think she's underneath the couch, just like stomach down. And so she's like, all right. And you see one hand come out from underneath the couch, and you just see like the body just shift over. And then you just see her standing, and she's like, "Thought this house is empty."
Is it just you?
There's some cobwebs up there.
I
I
put
do
my
not believe that this is a ghost that I could punch.
No, my muscular friend, I'm afraid not.
Unfortunate.
You're not a ghost, right? I'm gonna reach out and try to poke.
As soon as you poke, she just like sort of like bats you away and like sort of does like one of those like monk things. Even though she's not a monk, she does like one of those, like, whoa.
Fast reflexes.
Yeah, fast reflexes.
Nazim isn't the most good at physical stuff, so yeah, definitely you could be like in slow motion and probably still bat them away. But they're gonna go, oh, not a ghost, not a ghost.
Please do not hit my companions.
Could you ask first before touching me then?
I had to be sure. Sorry.
Could you ask first before you touch me?
Okay, I will. I'm sorry.
Just like you did with my hands. Ask first.
Sorry.
The consent is important.
I needed to know. Sorry. Have you seen any ghosts since you've been in? How long have you been in here?
Yes, my mysterious friend. What are you doing in my house?
No, I didn't know this house belonged to anybody. I thought it was just an empty house that, had no claim to. I was just interested to see what was here.
Well, no one lives here anymore.
Mhm.
Things inside of it, well, yes, what you see, and more that you don't, I suppose. This is a very dangerous place to be poking your nose around in. And, well, I'm sure that you have had your fill of fun, unless you have any further business. And she's like trying to place this person in her mind, and then like the painting flashes back. She's like, well, we can have a chat. We can have a discussion.
I look at Varsha, like, are you nuts? Kind of look like, excuse me.
She's like, well, I believe I'm still in control of my mind, as best as I am. But perhaps we can discuss what you're doing here and what we're doing here in a way that doesn't have to come to blows right now. Yes?
Sounds good to me.
I so slowly lower my bow.
I so slowly withdraw my mace hand.
I so slowly step back with my hands up.
Miriam, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Does Darjan now have that memory, or is it kind of just like...
Yeah,
Or is-
you have a flash of it, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I never had this. Like, I've never experienced this. What is this? Yeah, so Maggie and Darjan, you have a glimpse of this sort of scene that just comes into your mind, but you're pretty sure you didn't experience it, yet you did.
And another question. The previous versions of ourselves, did they have the same names, or are we just using the same names for convenience?
I was... you can use a different name. I actually should have asked all of you for separate names.
Okay, I was just curious.
We're just gonna
I
go
think it's
with
great if
past
they're
and
all the
present.
same names.
We're just
That'd
gonna
be
go
great.
with past and present for the time being, just
Okay,
to make
that's
it
fine.
easier.
That's
Your name
totally
is
fine.
Nassim too?
Whoa, rad.
Our names in the past are just our names now, but backwards.
Rune. Ooh.
Ooh.
That works.
Rune.
This
Najrad.
and
Najrad.
One
Begin.
more. I have a question.
Sure.
So when these flashbacks happen, so a flashback happens and certain characters are in it. Does that mean, do flashbacks mean those are flashbacks that are now in our heads and we remember them?
Yes, except for the first one, which was more of Varsha's recollection.
Yeah, okay.
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 it.
Yeah. So from now on, flashbacks that happen are things that your characters would be like, wait, this is eerie.
Okay, I just wanted to establish.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's on me to be a little more specific about that. So thank you.
Oh, no, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you all are sitting down and having a conversation, I guess.
Yeah, I think Varsha just like plops right down, like brushes a whole bunch of dust off one of the chairs or couches, and just puts herself down, keeps her glowing staff in one hand, and gestures to everyone, and then she just sort of starts talking at people, waiting for them to sort of join in her. She's like, "Yes, yeah. So this place, as I've said, has a history, a very loaded one, where something happened and the previous occupants, well, they're no longer with us. They have gone back to join the Jor. Their energy is no longer on this plane. And I have been taking care of this place to make sure that whatever secrets it holds do not fall into those who would seek to use them for ill or for evil. I have been monitoring the unusual phenomena in the house. No one has wished to buy it, to live in it. They believe it cursed. And I'm inclined to agree with them. And I wonder if together, all of us might not be able to come to an understanding of what is truly happening here. That is why I'm so interested in your talents, Nassim. I believe perhaps you can shed some light on the situation.
Do you know if this place was haunted before the previous residents or since then?
Well, there's certainly strange things happen everywhere, and there's magic all around us. But as to the house itself, she is spouting lore to see if the house was
Sure.
haunted before things, even before whatever happened in the house happened.
Man.
It's a 12.
Just
Making it rain.
all right, so
I don't even
based on
need
that,
dice.
based on that, what would you Okay, might ask you, how do you know this? Tell them the. Okay, we'll tell you. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like she's thinking like, well, is there like a history?
Okay.
Like is the house cursed
The house is
or
cursed
whatever?
because of the event that happened. That
Right.
even you're not quite sure what exactly happened. Partly why you've decided to collaborate with Nassim. But you know that the house was perfectly fine. In fact, it was a place of, this was the family home and estate of the Singhs, a half orc noble lineage, and you know that the thing that triggered the event, at least, was combination jealousy between the siblings, and combination, you're pretty sure that murder was committed here, but you haven't been able to prove it.
Hmm. So yeah, so if she was there, my headcanon, I will see what happens in play, but
Yeah.
my headcanon is that like the event caused her memory to like be erased or be clouded or otherwise like changed. So yeah, she looks at Nassim and says, well, no, this place was the seat of glory for the Singh family. You may have heard of them, although times have been different for them, but they were quite wealthy and quite powerful. Their portrait, as you can see,
The Singh family
in,
basically is like the, from the event, the Singh family has died out. They were,
they're gone. Okay.
yeah.
So you may have heard of them, but there are none of them to speak of now. But their children were these inheritors, and she gestures at the portrait. Two fiery young individuals who were set to inherit, although I believe one of them was more favored than the other. And something happened. I believe it to be a case of foul play, perhaps jealousy, perhaps the desire for power, unclear. But for whatever reason, I believe that someone was killed for power in this house, and I believe that that caused a great darkness to fall upon the home, a darkness that has not cleared, and one that few have had the stomach or the bravery to investigate until this day.
Okay. Okay. Murder is always certain. Well, not always, but is commonly a contributing factor to curses and ghosts, hauntings, all that sort of thing. So that stands to reason.
Is there any chance it could have been an accident?
Perhaps. I know nothing of what transpired here. If it was murder, in fact, I have never been able to prove it. I, in my younger days, had done some investigating, but after the authorities came through and cleared the place, and after the investigation was completed, there was nothing else to be learned. Really, this sort of thing is out of my expertise. I am but a spiritual guide. I help people with their wounds, and I help usher those who have passed on along their way. Whether it was an accident or not, that's unclear.
Might I ask why we are bringing the urchin with us?
Well, if there are strange secrets and places hidden away in a house like this, you are surely aware that nobles like to build hidden spaces and tuck away their finest treasures and secrets in places where people are not going to be sticking their noses. Well, we happen to be someone who's willing to put their neck out, who has no qualms about entering dangerous spaces. Isn't that right?
Of course, as you can tell, I've got in here no problem.
Mm-hmm. and you have an eye for quality. So, if we're going to be learning the secrets of this place, who better than someone who's willing to get their hands dirty?
Should we split up then? Search more of the house.
Perhaps.
I don't really like the idea of splitting up. You never know what's gonna come out and attack, curse you, scare you badly. I feel like maybe there's safety in numbers.
If it would comfort you, I would go with you.
Yes, I'm sure you would.
Huh?
I simply meant, who better to accompany you than a brave warrior? And she like looks down at her feet and like twiddles her thumbs.
I mean, I'm okay with going off on myself, so if y'all want to stay together, you're more than welcome to. What are y'all looking for anyways? What are y'all in here for?
I'm doing some research on places where there have been reports of strange happenings. Basically, just trying to take a stock of magical energies in it and see what the correlation is between reported hauntings and places of power, whether it's good or bad. And this is actually the first one that I've been to.
So you're new to this?
Well, I have a lot of experience in theory, as in reading up on case studies, but there really wasn't a lot of information about this house, so I'm here to potentially write the case study on it.
Right. Okay.
And if you're worried about your safety, we have two very capable fighters with us.
Never had fighters cover me before. I don't have to worry about it covering me now, unless we get to some real spooky ghosts.
I promise that I will determine whether or not I can truly punch a ghost if we do.
Well, you always have to test theories, so that's a pretty good one to test, but it could you might need backup. I don't know if I can throw magic at a ghost. I understand they're more spiritual essence than pure magic, but it's always worth a try.
Darjan looks at the painting and says, "This was made inside the house. We should find it. The place, at least."
I look at Darjan and ask, I look at the painting too and go, how do you know?
A feeling.
And Maggie just sort of leans over and like looks at the painting with Nor. You can tell that the color scheme of this house is like following the same like deep woods with the red curtains. At least that's what I've seen here, so that's context clues.
Varsh is just watching everyone talk and like looking back up the painting and like slowly nodding.
I forget, did you say that the past Maggie and Darjan in the painting sort of resemble the current ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty uncanny, right?
Yeah.
They're similar, but not exactly the same. Like,
Yeah.
Darjan's height and skin color have changed,
Okay.
but like different
'Cause
facial features.
I look at Maggie and I look at the painting. And I go, huh. You know, I may not know you very well, but I don't know. There's something about the painting that reminds me of you. In that painting, no?
I think it's the jaw shape. Actually, the jaw shape for Darjan looks kind of like that half orc,
Yeah,
but
Darjan. It's like if I painted you a different color.
it's a little It's interesting.
Not your shade.
Relative? I
How are you feeling, Maggie?
She's just looking at them like they're pulling straws, like, like just eyebrow quirk the whole time, just listening to them try to throw the theories. And she looks at the painting, and she can see the similarities, but like it's the ones that she knows deep down, at least from the memories she had. But she doesn't say anything. She's just watching.
Well, if we're going to try to match this to someplace in the mansion, should we take it with us and compare? Or
It's huge. It's like
It's a bit too
seven.
big for that.
It's like a 7 foot by like 3 foot, like those big ones that are like over fireplaces sort of paintings. You could certainly take it off, but the wooden frame is really heavy, as well as it's like really old, like how old paintings like on canvas, like on sturdy materials.
Are we on the second floor or first floor of the house?
You are on not the ground floor, the floor above it, because I know there's this entire thing about first floor is the ground floor and the
Yeah.
second floor is the first floor and all those things. It's the floor above the ground floor.
Yes.
Got it.
Fair.
Can I
It's the
roll
upstairs.
a spout lore to see if I might know where the room is? Or
Sure.
if like part of that has just stuck in their memory?
Yeah, totes. And I will give you
Wow.
or
That is
you don't need it.
That's 11. I don't need it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're pretty sure just from your little flashback as well as sort of looking at it, you feel this was put in some place where people wouldn't be necessarily using it, and also so that the painter had enough room and everything. You think it's probably like the ballroom in this house, which is on the ground floor under the staircase, like basically the yeah, like if the house was sort of on top of each other, it's like the staircase, and if you just keep going further down the foyer, it just opens up into
Yeah.
a grand ballroom.
Then Dajan would look at Varsha and say, there was a ballroom downstairs, correct?
Yes. Are you sure you've never? Yes, it's below us. Think nothing of it.
The room is very open in the painting.
Yeah, a fair assumption that an estate of this size and value would have such a room. Yes. Well, shall we? And she gets up and starts
Dajan
walking.
would offer her hand to help you get off the ground.
Thank you. Always so gracious. And she stands up and like cocks her head again, and like is mumbling under her breath, like, so not much less talkative, but no, couldn't be. And she walks towards the stairs and like shines the staff down into the depths and like takes a look, like, well, it seems open enough. It's as good of a start as any to investigate.
And as you say that and do that, a wind sort of like flows through the house, like sort of like a sudden gust of wind. And as the wind blows, especially through the glass or like crystal chandelier, there's like a little tinkles of like glass, giving the, like that sort of like a sparkly sort of a sound. And you hear a little giggle. All of you hear it. A giggle. Not a girl's giggle, but certainly a young bright giggle. And you see what, like, almost like really out of the corner of your eye, just sort of a piece of cloth, like part of an outfit, and like delicate feet, almost airy and like the wind, sort of heading towards another section of the house.
Did anyone else hear that?
Yes.
Does this happen often here? Have you heard giggling a lot?
Well, it certainly would not be out of place. There have been sounds. There have been reports of things moving.
But it was not frightening. It was comforting.
Nazim's going to pull out a little notebook from one of their pockets and start writing down approximate time, time date, and what they saw and heard.
Where did it come from again? It was like down the stairs, Miriam, and like
Yeah, it was down on the foyer, like just under the chandelier, and sort of like almost like you blink and miss it, sort of like heading. You feel the movement of them heading somewhere else.
I'm gonna. You just see Maggie just start not saying anything, just heading down the stairs, following.
Were they heading towards the ballroom? Or at least where we think the ballroom is?
No, they were actually heading to another area of the mansion, towards the right side of the house, where Versha, you would know, would be sort of like a music room.
Got it.
Okay, so do we stay in the ballroom or do we follow the entity?
I
believe
I follow Maggie just to like trail her and just make sure we're all part of a team now. So
if we are to test your theories, then we should follow the entity.
Okay, ballroom will be here when we come back, hopefully, presumably, unless disaster happens. So follow the entity, right? And Nazim kind of steals themselves and starts walking after it.
So what's your marching order as you're sort of heading in the direction? Okay, so Maggie's first.
I guess I'm number 2 since I followed right after her.
3.
I'd be 4.
Okay.
And then heading up the rear.
All right. So as you all head into this room, it opens up and you see what looks to be a really nice piano over there, as well as what looks to be a seating place where you see a sitar and you see a harmonium. Like, this is some sort of like a music room where they would either performers would perform here, or the house itself, they would practice music or play with music, or however. As you all enter, another gust of wind sort of passes and closes the door right behind you, putting you back into darkness.
Whoa.
As soon as it happened, Maggie just pulls out these like double daggers that are like tucked underneath and just like whips them out.
Yeah.
Light Varsha?
Varsha's holding up her glowing staff, like kind of sticking it out to try and illuminate the room as best as she can.
And at that point,
Nassim's also going to try to. You said we're in the dark, right?
You're in the dark, but initially the light sort of flickers, as if like there's something going on, and then it stays on after the initial flickering where you were almost in darkness.
Okay, in that case, I won't cast light.
And
then we have one source then.
Yeah, and as the door closes, you hear just sort of echoing.
I cannot see Darjan, but I'm like, you called that sound comforting?
It felt comforting earlier With the slam of a door, this feels less comforting.
Hmm.
Guess I'm
I'd
inclined
like
to agree.
to approach the door that slammed on us and see if I can open it.
It looks like it's jammed.
Hmm.
Okay. I look at Varsha and say, Varsha, might I make some adjustments?
And she looks at Darjan's musculature and like thinks for a second and then nods and says, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to try a thing before we change any of the variables. Can you understand us?
No response.
Okay.
Well, Varsha thinks for a second and then says, well, yes, perhaps Nassim is correct. Should we need to leave quickly, I trust you will be able to make a hole. To Darjan.
Yes.
Perhaps you are not far from a wise plan. And she reaches under her robes, and glinting against the chainmail, there's a necklace that has a golden tree at the top that fades into a skull at the bottom. And she holds it and she says, my duties are in the balance of life and death, in the growing as well as those that pass on. Perhaps a gentle touch is required, and I would like to try to cast a spell.
Sure. What spell are you guessing?
Speak with Dead, which I had prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So my two spells I have prepared are Cure Light Wounds and Speak with Dead. Now this is, I think, up to you. The description for Speak with Dead says a corpse converses with you briefly. I don't know if a ghost counts as a corpse in your reading of that spell.
I will say that.
Otherwise, I can cast a different spell.
No. What was the other spell you were thinking of casting?
Guidance, which is the symbol of your deity appears before you and gestures toward the direction or course of action your deity would have you take, and then it disappears. The message is through gesture only.
I think Speak with Dead is fine.
Okay.
So you attempt to communicate, and oddly enough, like this is the first time like you've done it before, trying to, especially right after the event where you suspected certain things had happened but you weren't sure. But now though, you seem to be actually having some sort of a communication. And
Yeah.
you hear the giggles again, and the giggles you hear sort of whisper, "Find me."
So she looks around and
And it's a very, you recognize it as Nassim's voice in the past.
So she like freezes up, says, must be the breeze. Yes, perhaps we should look around. This spell, I have attempted it in the past, but perhaps the stars are right and we may be able to get some information. We likely will only be able to ask 3 things of whatever spirit is here. And I am open to suggestions. While we ponder that, let us perhaps play this spirit's game. And she starts walking through the room and like looking for, like reaching into the piano and like looking around and stuff.
Okay. I will say at this point, before you have your questions, There is. I want to ask Darjan and Nasim 2 questions. Did either of you have singing abilities or liked an instrument? Don't base it on your charisma scores, just whether you.
I think
Good.
Nazim could probably like sing and play sitar.
Okay.
I would have said that Darjan
piano.
as part of their like training, like as being a noble, would have been to know some sort of entertainment skill.
One musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a harmonium, a sitar, and a piano, like a grand piano.
Mm-hmm. Piano for Darjan.
Okay. So as the spell was cast, both of you felt this connection to the room. Nasim, you see the sitar, and Darjan, you see the piano, and you, not knowing how to play or maybe you do know how to play. Do you know how to play as your current? Okay. You get this overwhelming sense to play, this overwhelming urge to play a very particular tune on this piano. What do you do?
I think Darjan would, because they are sort of listening to what Varsha said of like, let's play the game. So they have stepped away from this door that they were ready to rip the hinges off of and begin to approach the piano. And I think they just kind of push a bunch of the keys, just like, just like messing around with it at first.
And at some point, you start actually playing properly, like an accomplished pianist.
Varsha like whips around and like stares at Darjan.
I whip around too because I've never seen Darjan do this ever.
Nazim's a little distracted, walking around the room, sees the sitar, just kind of idly runs their hand over it and finds themselves humming along with whatever Darjan is playing. Just really distractedly, doesn't even know they're doing it.
Yeah,
would
go
I
ahead.
recognize the tune?
You do actually.
I think Maggie's actually probably helping look, and so they have, like, they've just pushed the curtain back, and they just freeze hearing that, and then just slowly let the curtain go and just turn around and look.
And it's in perfect harmony. Like, these two have just met, but they're singing in absolute harmony. And suddenly, Darjan and Nasim, you have a flashback of your past selves doing this exact thing. But also now I would like to ask you a couple of questions of when did you realize in your past lives that you two were meant to be together?
There would have been a time when Nazim was just kind of chattering on about some project that they were working on. And I guess without even being aware of it, Darjan would have finished the thought, maybe helped make a connection that they hadn't thought of before. And that would have been a thing to make them go, oh, okay.
For Darjan, I think that being friends with Noor and Nasim, they would often like go to an inn and share rooms and everything after a long night of partying and things. And still being a person who had served in the army, Darjan had seen a lot of things. And so one night he awoke from a nightmare. They awoke from a nightmare and accidentally disturbed Nassim. And instead of being pushed away or being standoffish about it, Nassim just talked and just didn't stop talking. And it wasn't a, oh, this is annoying. It was a grounding mechanism for Darshan. And I think that was a moment where Darshan like realized like, oh, this is different than what other people do when they see this happen to the perfect heir sibling of the second family.
So then my question is, what bond did the two of you make that will not get realized in the past? It could be you decided to get married, or it could be you decided to have a vow to each other, or
For Darshan, it is, I vowed to protect Nassim until the end of my days.
okay. And the scene?
Nassim wanted to grow old with Darshan. And yeah, just wanted to spend a long time together, grow old together.
Okay. And as all of you, as the two of you are basically making music together, Maggie, your past self, you walk into the room and see them in absolute harmony. How do you feel?
I think she feels, oh, like I think I know the feeling, like her gut's dropping, but I can't put the word on the exact description of it.
Okay.
Like it just something's happening and it's going to ruin her somehow, but she doesn't know how.
You remember in your mind your mother's words of what happens when Darjan has their own family, then you're not going to be as important.
Yeah.
And Noor, you also walk in since you're all like good friends. How do you feel when you see them in absolute sync with each other?
Present time, right?
In the past time. In your past life.
In the past life, I think this is when I'm starting to realize that they are going ahead of me. They're going on a path that I'm not going and maybe not allowed to. And I think Noor, I think they have a sense of like what's going on, but at the same time, just like what's going on. And there's that pang of like that missing out, like I am not part of this. Why am I not a part of this? It's not so much like a feeling of one or the other. It's for both of them. And in the present, that kind of echoes in my mind. I'm not sure if the song is familiar, but just seeing them resonate, like, and even throughout this adventure in the Haveli,
Haveli, yeah.
Haveli, like just the natural, like how Darjan kind of automatically um, takes to Nassim, and even having Nassim go through their gauntlet, like no one touches like their hands. So to have that, like that already set alarm bells for me for Noor, because that's kind of very unusual for Darjan in the present time. So I'm kind of getting like this nigging feeling like of this sort of jealousy, but I don't know why.
And as you see those feelings, as you feel those feelings in your past life, you look around and see someone else is not entirely happy with what's going on either. As you see Darjan's sibling just maybe brooding.
Oof. It's a lot to take in. Varsha's like, that is a beautiful song, and I have not heard anything like it in a very long time. Where did you learn to play like that?
I didn't.
Oh. I see. Well, perhaps there is something new to add to the list of occurrences of the house. But surely you must have heard it before, or I have heard such beautiful music played by only two other skilled musicians of your caliber.
Perhaps it is just the ghosts communicating.
I scoff and I look at Darjan and keeping secret talents from me, your partner. Why would you do that? Kind of teasing, but also kind of like, are you hiding something from me?
I do not know how to play the piano. This must have been an influence by whatever ghosts may haunt this place.
It is not uncommon for spirits to take control of people. I've only seen one or two cases in my lifetime, but the stories are plenty enough. But I suppose the how and the why are less important than the now, the other elements here. Indeed, it is hauntingly familiar. Have any of you seen whatever made that laugh? Is it in this room still? Did it move on? She's like trying to shake the cobwebs out of her mind.
I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yes, I could hear that.
And going to a flashback, Nassim, you are standing in this room, sort of just laughing, like, like gaily laughing, when you see Maggie approaching you, past Maggie and past Nassim.
Did you want to join in?
I don't know what's going on here.
I was just having a jam session. did I'm sorry if I was disturbing you.
No, no, you're fine. Let's see here. And I think Maggie was forced to learn how to play the not the piano because that's Darjan's thing, but
The sitar or the harmonium.
what's a harmonium? Is it like a
It's a one-handed accordion,
oh?
and you sit down with it. It's really big.
And what was the other one?
Sitar,
Sitar.
which is like a similar to a stringed instrument, but it's like super long, and you have to sit down and also play it because it's big. It's massive.
I think she would know the sitar then.
Yeah.
I'll
So-
hand it
Oh.
over.
It actually works really well that it's a sitar because someone's replacing you maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hand it over.
Yeah, and she just, starts playing a few notes, and she's like, "Yeah, this is had to learn because of the family.
You're pretty good at it.
Forced practice makes someone good at it, I suppose."
There's no reason you can't just, I don't know. Have you ever thought of starting a band or just, is it?
And
Yeah.
I don't. No, I don't care for music or the arts or the balls or the events that we have.
Music doesn't have to be, one of the fancy balls. I mean, do you know any good drinking songs? Because those. I can teach you if you want.
They have drinking songs?
Oh, okay. You are missing out. I have to teach you. And I'm going to break into the raunchiest one I know.
I think at first Maggie's caught off guard by how deep you went. But after all right. And then trying to get the tunes right because she's listening and she's good enough to know to listen for tunes
Mhm.
and stuff. So as soon as you start singing, it takes like a minute or so, and then she starts slowly picking at the sitar to get there.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no reason that you can't just change words to songs that already exist. Think of the stodgiest song and then add in stuff about farts and dicks.
And as you're sort of raunching it up at this point, the door opens and you see your mother walk in and say, "What is this? Maggie?
A song.
I expected much better of you, corrupting poor young minds like Nassim. You're corrupting your to-be sibling in law. You know what? If this is how it goes, you might not have a home to come to." And she just walks out.
And then as she's walking out, she puts down the sitar and she stands up. She's like, "You know what? Maybe I just don't want to be here anymore," and just starts gathering her things and just walks out the door.
Okay, that didn't go as well as I'd hoped for a bonding experience. And I'm just going to sit down awkwardly.
I was gonna say I don't think Darjan told her yet
Oh, what?
about
Being
Oh.
marriage.
Oh. So
Could be assumed.
yeah. Oh, as in
Busybody
didn't tell the parents or tell
Didn't tell Maggie.
Oh, yeah, that's also the first time you've heard of it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
that could have gone better.
Yeah, so I think she's just upset and just a loss for words and just
Darjan,
leave.
you see Maggie leaving the room as you're about to enter.
Darjan would see Maggie and be like, Maggie, wait. I wanted to speak with you for a moment.
Don't. don't talk to me right now. Just live your
Wait.
fucking happy life here and just enjoy it here. Have fun, enjoy your fucking life. And she just walks out.
Maggie, what?
That was probably my fault.
What are you talking about?
I was in here playing, and I gestured to the sitar, and I thought, Maggie knows how to play sitar. We could talk about music, and I thought I'd teach her a drinking song because she seems like she could use some fun in her life. And then your mom busted in, didn't give us a chance to explain, and you told her that we're betrothed, right? Because it seemed...
I didn't.
Oh,
She hasn't really been home much recently.
okay. That explains some of it.
Don't worry, I will talk to her. And
your mother already kind of broke the news, and not in the best way.
My mother told her?
Yes, she said that Maggie was corrupting her new sibling-in-law, or future sibling-in-law. And first of all, if anyone was doing the corrupting, it was me. And yeah, Maggie's face was really upsetting. I'm not sure. I think maybe I should leave her alone for a bit.
Darjan kind of chuckles a bit when you say that you were doing the corrupting. And they give you a kiss on the forehead and say, "You stay here, relax, you didn't do anything wrong. I will talk to Maggie. As for my mother, well, we know how she is, but at least I can hopefully get through to Maggie. I'll be back, okay?"
Okay.
And I turn to go follow after Maggie. Or at least try and find her.
Yeah, where would you be, Maggie?
Oh, I think she's already outside. Like, would this house really have like a stables, like a horses and stuff?
Yeah, there'd be stables for like carriages for horses. There's also like a garden. Like it's a proper estate with the mansion and everything.
Yeah, I think she's probably where she usually calms herself down is at the stables, petting one of the horses. There's like one in particular that's like one of the like gingery red ones, like the red horses. So she'll usually just bury her face into like the fuzz and sob. That's where she usually is whenever she's upset.
And Darjan, would you know that would be one of the places to look?
I think it would probably be like the second or third place that they would look. Definitely not the first. Okay. Just because they just aren't sure anymore of where Maggie might be.
Okay, so it takes a bit, and you eventually find Maggie, where Maggie is at.
Yeah, and she's in the stables petting Cinnamon is what she's calling the horse. Yeah.
Yep.
And so that's her horse pretty much. That's the one that she grew up with, and she's just petting it and snuzzling her face, and she's smiling a bit, but kind of just wiping the tears off and just trying to recollect herself.
Darjan kind of approaches the stable that you're in and knocks on the wooden wall.
She looks over and just quickly like, yeah. What do you want?
would you like to go for a ride? And they hold up the saddle for Cinnamon.
Yeah, I like that.
Darjan would basically go through emotions of saddling up Cinnamon. But Darjan would not bring a horse for themselves. Instead, they would kind of just walk alongside the horse or even hold the reins and just sort of guide it and let Maggie just sort of sit and rest.
Yeah, and she does. She's giving off an air of defeated, if that makes sense. Just shoulder slump, head hanging, staying quiet for the most part. So, I guess you and Nassim are getting married from what Mom said.
Yes, I had hoped to tell you sooner, but with being out of town and visiting Nassim's parents and never being quite sure where you are, it's been difficult to find some time with you to tell you. I wanted to be the ones to tell you, not Mom.
No, I think Mom wanted to tell me so she can rub it in my face like she always does.
Mom is
That bitch.
a word that I would not choose to use, but might agree with. I think she worries that you'll never be happy.
I mean, if she keeps forcing me into the boxes that she wants me to be, I won't be.
Well, once I wed, the house becomes mine. I'm not Mom. I know I tease you sometimes. I know I try and hold you to a higher standard than, let me rephrase that, a different standard than the ones you feel yourself on. And I would never kick you out of this house.
But you know I don't belong here. And like, I know you're teasing doesn't mean like you're being like who you are, and like, you know, teasing me and stuff because we're siblings, but like at the same time, it just with Mom and then you, it's a lot sometimes. And I'm sorry I snap, but like it's overwhelming.
Don't apologize. You did nothing wrong. I guess I just thought, I didn't realize how much this was doing. And that is my fault. And I'm sorry, and I will do better.
Yeah, you're not the one who's been underneath a microscope since you could walk. And she just sort of grabs the reins from him and just flicks up and just rides off.
Maggie. And Darjan sighs and walks back home.
Maggie, as you are sort of just galloping and sort of running, what sort of thoughts are running through your mind?
Thoughts of not being good enough, not being able to fit in, to not being to having friends to not finding her own love. Like, she just feels worthless at this point.
There's a little voice in your head that starts to whisper something, saying, what if Mom was gone? What if Mom's not around? Then nothing else will. Then everything will stop hurting. And this thought starts resonating in you.
It actually helps her calm down a bit, thinking about that, focusing on something else other than herself at this time is helping her like realize like, okay, maybe. And so, yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I think this is a good place to take a very quick break so we can stretch our legs, take a bio break, get some water. So
Finish crying.
Yes. Oh. So we will be right back in about 5, maximum 10 minutes. So I will quickly switch. We will see you soon. That's the correct thing. welcome back, everybody. We've stretched our legs, gotten something to drink, eat, etc. And when we took our break, there were some really intense moments happening. And first of all, I didn't have a chance to really say it, but thank you to all the people who followed, as well as thank you, Welcome Party, for rating. And with that said, uh, we go back to the present a little bit, as you all have these visions, specifically Darjan, Maggie, and Nassim. And as you snap back to the present, another gust of wind sort of fills the room and the doors smack wide open.
Okay.
Well, we have our way out.
I suppose. Perhaps later on we'll be needing that strength of yours.
And you had those 3 questions from that. I forgot that was the other thing. You had 3 questions.
Oh, yeah.
that
we
you
can
now
ask the spirit.
Yes.
Goodness. I want to open the floor to everybody else.
I feel like the first thing to start off with is, does it mean us any harm?
That's fair. Yeah. So Varsha listens to the input and holds her holy symbol and holds the staff with the light out and says, "Spirit, do you mean us any harm?"
And you sense it within your bones. The answer is depends on what you do when you find me.
She relays that to the group. For whatever that means.
Oh, that's not exactly encouraging, but it's not an outright yes.
It's not actively hurting us.
And what are your other 2 questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
Are those your 2 questions?
No, I'm thinking out loud about like tossing. I don't want to make the decision for everybody else.
Can we leave?
Sure.
How can you be at peace?
Oh, that's a good one.
I like both of those. Let's go with the second one first. Spirit, how can you be at peace?
Find me and avenge my killer.
Okay. Yeah. But to the best of the knowledge it had in life and the knowledge it gained in death. Yeah. So Varsha looks around and says, well, we have to find it and avenge them and bring the person that killed them to justice.
This was 30 years ago.
How long ago was this? How do we find this person?
30 years at least, yes. As to how we find it, that is perhaps the greatest question. Spirit, where are you now?
I believe the answer is dead.
And they
Where,
say,
Darjan, not what?
find me under the chandelier.
Under the chandelier. Well,
Specific, finally.
Okay. Writing down the answers.
Sounds promising. Sounds like a ballroom to me. I don't know about the rest of you.
I mean, there's a chandelier in the foyer.
Yeah, there's 2 chandeliers. There's the one in the foyer and one in the ballroom.
Okay, so try one and then the other. We're here in the ballroom, right?
No,
In the
you are in the
music
music
room.
room.
We can try the ballroom first since it's on the way and then go back to the foyer.
The foyer will actually be the first thing on the way.
Okay.
Because
So
they're all...
we'll do
Flip what I said.
Yeah. Cool.
You seem to be frazzled. It is okay.
I'm always frazzled. It's a thing. Yeah, I'll be fine, assuming that we don't anger this ghost and have it try to kill us.
Well,
It
if
will
we keep our
punch
wits
it
about it,
before it does that.
well, we'll see. Hopefully, we will not have to punch anything. Varsha gathers up her robes and points the staff out towards the door and says, yes, well, shall we?
Yep.
Okay.
And Maggie goes first. And just quietly.
So as you head out into the foyer, the floor is made out of marble. There's dust, but it's made out of very good quality marble.
I do not believe we are going to be getting through this floor. Unless someone brought a pickaxe that I'm unaware of.
I can try something. And I'm gonna try to cast magic missile at the floor.
All right. So let's see how well you cast the spell. Because
I shoot magic missile at the floor.
I'm
Magic
going
missile.
to roll here.
Well, it's to cast the spell. Okay, so
Okay.
so you roll your, I believe, whatever the spell damage is.
Okay. Roll spell damage. There we go. No, that's not it. Here we go. It's 2d4.
Yeah. So you managed to make a nice big hole. I mean, you still have to dig it out a little, but you notice that under the marble, there is sort of like it looks like there was some sort of wooden sort of covering put over what was here to it's not originally part of the house. It was like made and then like a very good slab of marble was put on top of it. And you see what looks to be a skull. A partial skull.
Okay.
Lovely decoration. Mm-hmm.
And Noor, you sense a certain kinship with that skull.
A decoration, but yet oddly familiar. And I say this to myself. Can I examine it and kind of just
Yeah.
see why?
And as you touch it, you flash back
Ooh.
to you lying there lifeless while a figure is basically digging a hole to bury you. Noor, who do you think killed you? And why?
Who do I think?
We're working a little backwards now.
Okay.
Some memento shit.
DM.
Dang. Whew, caught me on the spot. I did. Who do I think?
If someone wants to give suggestions, I'm also open to that.
I
mean, the saddest thing is it's either Darjan or Nassim. The easiest thing is it's Maggie, and the most unexpected thing would be it's me.
And the most expected thing is that
Should
it's
we
my
all
mom.
give a motive?
Sure.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, one of the friends, I just can't think of a reason, like a motive for it. And Varsha would be interesting, but I don't really know how Varsha connects with Nor in the past.
Okay.
So I'm like...
So I have a question slash a suggestion.
Sure.
Based on the bonds that were given by Darjan and Nassim, both of them have a strong motive. I personally think that Nassim has the more interesting motive if Noor was trying to cause them to break up. Because Nassim's was to grow old together, whereas Darjan's was just to protect Nassim.
And also, it could also be that they didn't actually murder you, they're simply putting you to rest.
Are we asking who's hiding the body or who's murdering? Because those are two different questions.
Yeah,
that is sorry, it could be either. Because it's like I have certain ideas and suggestions, but I'm also open to whatever you think.
Damn.
Because this activity is sort of in the middle of the timeline of sort of the chain tragedy that's about to happen.
Oh. It's not one tragedy, everyone. It's a chain tragedy.
Of course. I don't want it to be Maggie, though.
Okay. All right.
I know.
Let's, if you want, we can leave that as, like, nebulous. You guys just get the flashback of basically your body is lifeless and being buried, and that's it. And we can figure that out later.
Oh my god, okay.
But you feel that, and you come back to your senses.
I dropped the skull.
And it cracks into two.
Varsha rushes over and like grabs Nora and tries to stabilize them. Are you all right? You look as though you've seen a ghost.
They did just pick up a skull and then proceed to crack it, which is not very respectful of the dead.
Yeah, describe it. Did you see anything? Did you hear anything? Did a voice talking in your head? Cold spots?
No voice. A death. A death.
Yours?
Why? She's right in front of us. They are right in front of us. Why would it be their death?
I felt it. It was me, but it wasn't me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Yes, you're here.
I don't understand. What is this place? What is going on?
Varsha's looking around at the ceiling and like looking at everything that isn't in the room.
And
It's worse than
Versha,
I feared.
at this point, your clarity. Is my window whistling? I think. Okay. Just a moment.
Wind chimes of doom.
Very atmospheric.
Spooky scary, everyone. Spooky scary.
Happy Halloween! Woo!
It's a Halloween miracle.
Okay.
The
One.
next
I will.
20
I will
minutes.
actually. I will actually just give me a moment.
Yep,
No, this is where the horror movie starts.
that's how it
Dun,
starts.
dun, dun.
Mariam, no.
You already split the party. Foolish.
No.
You
They're
can-
back. Oh,
Yes, you
They
can.
made it.
You can
They made
see
it.
the whole sort of party. The top side is all business, and the bottom side is just pajamas.
I'm wearing
No.
sweatpants, no judgment.
I'm wearing a sweatpant and sweatshirt, so like I have no reason to judge.
I got Halloween pants on.
Halloween pants.
Yay!
That's so good.
I have Halloween PJs that have not bats, spiders on them.
Mine are cats. And it's candy corn. It's a trick or
cats.
treat.
I love Halloween.
Halloween's the best.
Yay! And I get to spend
Also,
it with
my
all you
trick or
lovely
treat
people.
candy, so like I'm eating candy right now. So
I
whatever.
had some lychee mochi just before we came back from the break.
What?
Sounds so
Lychee mochi.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, back to the game.
Back to-
Okay.
No, more about mochi.
Times.
Okay, so Varsha, before we got interrupted by my window, your whatever mind block you were having is starting to clear, and visions are appearing, and from this point onwards, we are all in the past as we narrate what happens leading up to the event.
Yeah, it's worse than I feared. It's all coming back to me now. Yes. Oh no. And as she's like, her eyes go wide, and like we do like the camera shot in the movie of like the camera goes into the eyes, and then the
Yeah.
everything goes
Is she doing the
fast.
That's So Raven moment? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And then
And
we go to the past.
we go back to Maggie at this point. Maggie. What? Sorry. What do you think you do that starts this event off?
I think I kill mom.
All right. How do
As you
you
do.
go about doing it?
I think I'm supposed to slow down. So I think as that night I come back and it's pretty late, so everybody thinks gone to bed at this point. I sneak in quietly, and it's how I actually am. I'm pretty quiet around the house anyways, just because I don't want mom to find me usually in the first place if I'm at the house. And then like I've just learned how to adapt quietly. I go into the kitchen and I take one of the knives.
Do you get help from a friend, perhaps?
No, I don't
Okay.
need anyone else carrying this burden with me. And she makes her way up the stairs, makes her way to parents' room. And I think he's like a military like leader
Yeah.
or some sort of government informant or something. I don't know. He has money. We have money because
Yeah.
of something,
Yeah.
and he's not there.
Nope.
So she's by herself in the room. Maggie knows this, and she quietly opens the door, makes her way in.
Darjan, you see Maggie, like I feel like at this point, tell me how you see Maggie entering.
I think that Darjan has been Yeah, it's the middle of the night. Darshan just woke up from a nightmare again and like is going for a walk through the house and like to probably go to the grounds, and then just like catches a glimpse of Maggie going up the stairs as they're heading towards the front exit of the house, and just decides to follow because they haven't really had a chance to talk since Maggie rode away on a horse.
All right. You see Maggie enter your mom's room carrying a knife and closes the door behind her.
I don't think Darshan would see the knife. I think that they would just be very confused as to why Maggie's going into their mom's room in the middle of the night, because like she normally doesn't even go within 30 feet of her mom during the day. So I think they decide to get closer to investigate.
Okay. Maggie, you're in your mom's room.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's sleeping peacefully. Looks her when her face is relaxed, she looks very kind. She looks she looks like the you know, the everyone says she's such a loving mother. She takes care of her children so well. She spoils them. This is the face that everyone except for you has seen.
Does she make that noise as she's
Yeah.
breathing?
Yeah.
Sorry, he's trying to get into my recording equipment.
Yes, there's a little, like, as she's breathing, there's a little,
She wheezes.
yeah,
It's like
sign of her age.
the 3 steps of sleep apnea. I don't know. Like,
Little sweater.
but
He'll just freeze.
let's see here. Yeah, I know it's a lie. I know her whole facade is a lie, and just I think seeing how kind her face is irritates the ever living shit out of Maggie, because it's just a facade. It's not true. And then all the words that her mom said to her over the years, like, straighten up your back, you're not pretty enough, you need to fit in better, you know, you'll never find love, all that starting to like pile on top of each other, one on top of the other, like just on repeat, and getting louder as she's moving closer to the bed, to where her mom, the side where her mom is, which I think is on the other side of the bed.
Yeah.
And the knife is, her grip around the knife's getting tighter.
And do you have a clear path? If you decide to take the plunge?
It's more like we're going to silence her forever, as it's going to be just straight across.
And it's at this point, Darjan, if you want to go in and see what's going on, you do.
I think they go in too late. After it's already been done.
Or do you see Maggie as Maggie leaves?
I think they would see Maggie leave and then go to investigate.
And as you investigate, you sort of feel something wet on the ground, little drops. And as you lift your feet, they're red and they're smeared.
Is the knife in the room?
Did you leave the knife in the room or did you take it with you?
I think she left it. I think, realizing what she actually did, she drops it, and so like it sort of like hits the ground and it goes underneath the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just quickly runs out.
Yeah. So you see Maggie quickly run. And as you go, your mother's still sleeping peacefully, except she's wearing a red necklace. That, you know, your mother doesn't wear necklaces and go to bed.
I think it takes a few moments of just looking around the room and trying to figure out what's like putting together the pieces but not wanting to. And I think it's when they find the knife that like it all comes together finally. Where like there's a moment of acceptance of what the reality is.
And you hear a high-pitched scream as you see a lady in waiting looking at you holding the knife and just screaming and screaming. And she's like, "What did you do?" And then she turns and starts screaming, "Darjan killed the lady of the house!" And is just like, at this point, Maggie, you hear the screaming of what's going on.
I think Maggie freezes and starts. And she freezes for a second, and she's like, can't process it. She didn't even see Darjan up. She had no idea she was being followed, which for her is really concerning because she's so quiet and usually perceptive. And she's trying to figure out what's going on.
And one of the maids sort of holds you and says, "Darjan killed your mother. I'm so sorry." And she's just sort of like batting and crying. You're not sure whether she's holding...
No.
You're not sure whether she's using you to cry or whether she's trying to comfort you.
No, Darshan would never do that. That's not who they are. That's not what they would do. They love mother like that. This isn't what happened. This isn't right. And she let goes of the maid, or pushes the maid off her, rather. Not like shoves, but like
just sort of like
and then just starts running up the stairs again to see what the question is up there.
As you go up there, you see what is Darjan doing as all of this is going on?
A lamp has been lit in the room. And Darjan has sort of, I would say, like, adjusted his mother so she looks more peaceful, like taken a cloth and like cleaned up some of the blood, making sure to like wipe down the knife, and then making sure that they would wipe down the knife and then place their hand on the handle, then dip part of the blade in the blood and put it on the side table, and they just sit on the bed next to the mother, just looking at them. Just looking at her, actually.
And that's what you walk into, Maggie?
Yeah, I guess so. Since we don't have forensic evidence in Fantasy World, but you know.
Well, that's what spells are for, but right now...
fingerprints.
But currently, none of the staff have spells. So they have to draw their own conclusion. And you hear the steps as you have whatever conversation you're about to have. You hear the steps of what seems to be the house guards getting called.
Yeah, and Maggie's gonna turn around and is like, "No, it wasn't them. It wasn't Darjan. What are you doing? They would never do this. What? No, stop. This isn't right, and you know it." And she looks at the maid who did it and is like, "You know it."
And she's just a sobbing mess, and she's like, "That's what I saw. He was holding the knife and standing over Meme Sab, and then all of this." And the guards are now just grabbing, like, holding on to you. They're not, like, forcibly holding Darjan, but they're sort of like, you can either come with us peacefully, or we can take you by force. And we've called the priest to investigate what happened. And in the background, Varsha, you're getting summoned to appear. And Nasim, you've also been told that something big has happened in the big house and to come quickly.
Darjan doesn't say anything. doesn't do anything, just goes with them.
Nazim shows up in basically still their night clothes with like a robe or a coat or something thrown over. And
Nora
really doesn't know what to make of any of this. Just what happened? What's going on? Where's Darjan?
And the hysterical maid is like, "Oh, the family's been ruined. Our heir has killed our mother. And when the Lord comes back, this is so shameful. What?" And
no, he couldn't. He wouldn't.
And one of them grabs you and says, "It's a good thing you haven't been married yet. You don't want to be associated with the shame."
I think Maggie's still very livid about the whole situation. She's like, no, they're just stating that just because Darjan found mother first, that they're the one that killed her. Like, they're being completely dumbasses, and she just shoots daggers at them with her eyes. Maybe if you learn to ask questions before you just make accusations, then we figure something out.
This is wrong. Darshan couldn't have. They love their mother.
Exactly.
Were you here? What happened?
I was downstairs. I didn't hear anything until I heard the screaming.
And then I found her. And then you notice the maid's hand.
I found your screaming.
The maid's hand, she was holding you. And as she looks at her hand, she sees bloodstains all over them. She's like, "Where did this blood come from?"
She was holding me.
How do we know it's not you? You're covered in blood.
No, I didn't. I just saw the thing, and then I ran up to and looks at Maggie, and it dawns on her, and she stays quiet.
She just gives her a glare, like, you've already fucked over one person in the family tonight. Do not do the same thing.
I think that's where Varsha comes in. Varsha throws open the door. She's in her early 30s. She's stronger. She's more fit. She's got sort of a determination in her eyes. The chainmail is very prominent, like a badge of rank. And she plants her staff and says, such screaming and noise at this hour. We should all calm down. Everything will be fine. We will get to the bottom of this. I will petition the spirits. Everything will be well. We will have truth, and we will have justice. No more fingers will be pointed until we get to the bottom of this.
I think Darshan has been there for this whole interaction, right? Darshan would speak up and say, "There's no need."
What do you mean?
And they look at Nassim for a moment and look at Maggie for a moment, say, "I did it."
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe you. Why? No, it doesn't make sense.
That is not true, and you know that. Why would you even lie about this?
Darshan, do you admit your guilt?
I do.
No.
And Varsha holds her holy symbol, and for a moment, for maybe 2 seconds, she thinks, well, I could call on the elementals, the beings that guide me. I can just call to them and figure this out. and she looks at Darjan and like sees the determination in their eyes, and looks at Maggie and looks at Nassim and like thinks and says, if what you are telling me is true, then there's no need to involve the spirits. Your conscience is enough of a weight. Darjan, I'm so sorry. I had thought we might see something like this coming. You and I have spoken so much, but if you say truth now, then you know what I must do.
No, this is all a big misunderstanding. It was not them. It wasn't them.
Death.
No.
Why
have to
are
ask-
you
you
being
have to
like
ask
this?
her.
Like, stop it, Darjan. Like, why are you doing this?
I won't let them take you from me.
Might I have a moment with my sister and my betrothed individually? Keep me cuffed.
Varsha binds Darjan's hands and says, you may have as much time as you need to make peace. And she steps outside of the room.
And I make sure all the maids are shoved out as well. So it's just
Yeah. As you have your moment with whoever you'd like first.
Sorry, I need a moment.
Noor, you
And
walk in.
what are you doing? Yeah, where is Noor in all this?
Noor, you walk in and see all of this happening. You also notice the maid just looking at the blood and staring at Maggie, and then shutting up and walking away.
What?
You have to help me, Nort. Please, you have to help me. They're gonna
Nassim.
kill Darjan. They can't.
Nassim, slow down. I can't. What happened? I don't.
You can.
There's
You
so
can
much
take.
blood.
You can take those guards, right? I can take the rest. Just please help me.
Nassim, guards? What are you? What is going on?
They're gonna kill Darjan. They said that Darjan murdered their mother. Darjan didn't. Please help me. We can kill
Darjan?
them and we can run and we can go somewhere else and have new names and
Nassim,
please help me. Please.
I hold Nassim's shoulders. I'm like, breathe. Please breathe.
Please help me. Are you going to help me or are you going to stand in my way?
I don't know what's going on. What are you?
Just say yes, please. Just say yes. Please say you can't let them kill Darjan, please.
I'll go. Let's talk to the guards, okay? I need to know what happened. Is Maggie there too?
I would say Maggie might be talking to Darjan at this moment.
Oh, okay.
So let's, if you're ready,
Or
Russ.
Varsha.
Or Varsha.
Yeah, Varsha is standing outside the room with the guards.
Varsha.
Noor, you must have heard. Nassim is with you. Yes.
No, Nassim is crying. I can barely understand them. What is going on? I see blood. Talking about killing Darjan. What is this?
The lady of the house was murdered. By Darjan's own admission,
What?
they were the one that delivered the killing strike. I'm
Nassim?
sorry. My hands are tied.
how do you know this?
Darjan admitted willingly that they had done this thing.
I've known these two for most of my life. Yes, their mother, they've had their differences, surely, but murder? That's not Darjan. Varsha, you know them.
The heart does many painful things, considering the relationship between everyone. It is not out of the realm of reason that Darjan might have decided to end their sister's suffering, or even to take claim of a home and a title. I do not know their motives, but if they tell me in confidence, why would they lie? Why would they admit and choose their own death? Were they not guilty? Darjan is honest.
I think at this point, like, Nor is still on the verge of like, what? Why? Like, how? Darjan killing the mom? No way. But once Varsha started talking about, and their sister's suffering, I think that's when I can kind of see Darjan doing the motive, because I feel like Darjan would have had like discussions about like how their mom is and how like she's been treating Maggie. And I think Nor, with all that's going on in the separation between Nassim and Darjan, I think I've been feeling sympathy towards Maggie. So knowing Darjan kind of being that noble that they are, there's a tiny bit of me thinking I can kind of see them do that. And I think it shows on my face that I'm like, well, I feel like their mother has been more restrictive as of late, to say the least.
You can't be thinking. What are you? No. No.
And at this point, Russ, are you ready to have words with your sister?
Yes.
All right. We quickly cut to that.
Mm-hmm. It's done. Maggie, it's done.
Yeah, because I did it. I did it. Why are you taking the blame? You shouldn't be taking the blame. You should be living your best life. I don't. What are you doing?
Being better.
What do you mean being better?
Mother was horrible to you.
Yeah, and I did what I did. You know what? I'm gonna tell Varsha right now it was me. It's not you. You don't.
No.
No.
Please. I have hurt you. I have hurt other people in the wars. This protects you. This protects Nassim also. You will go on.
I can't live with the guilt of you doing this. I please don't. Please let me go talk to Varsha right now. Let me clarify things. Let me take your spot. Please don't do this.
I think they stand up from wherever they've been placed, probably a chair or something. And as best as they can with their hands tied behind their back, they just hug their sister and say, I used to guide your horse when we were younger. Now it's time for you to ride that horse alone. You do not have to stay here, but you are free now. Live the life that you choose, not the one that others expect.
I don't know if I can.
You've done so much already. I've seen who you are. You can do anything you want. This one action does not determine who you are.
And it shouldn't be the end of who you are.
But if it means that you continue and Nassim is safe, then it is the best option.
Is it? Is it? Like, I don't understand, like, how you keep saying that it's the best option. I really don't. Like, please, Darjan, don't do this.
And it's at this point the door opens and one of the house guards says, it's time. If you need to speak to someone else, do it now.
I would like to speak to Nassim for a moment.
And they allow you that moment.
And Maggie's still. I think Maggie's giving pleading looks, but she's not saying anything as she leaves, and Nassim walks in.
I walk right past Maggie and run up and throw my arms around Darjan. Why are you doing this?
Hello, my sunshine. I did not expect to see you here so late.
How can you say that? This isn't. I don't accept. I'm getting you out of this. I'm going to get you out of this. We can run away. We can start a new life. I think I have some relatives in another place, and they can give us some money to start over. Please don't give up. I know you didn't do this. I don't know why you're saying you did, and I'm not letting them take you. I'm not going to let them take you. They can't take you from me.
I think that Darjan looks at Nassim and says, you could never kill. You were never a killer.
I will kill for you. I'll do it without a second thought. I won't even regret it.
No. Please do not do that for me. What I want you to do, I want you to leave this house.
I'll leave if you're with me. I'm never leaving unless you're with me. Do you hear me?
I cannot do that, Nassim. You need to leave this house, and you need to go somewhere where my actions and my problems and my issues will not look badly upon you.
I don't care who looks badly on me. I've never cared what anybody but you think of me.
Then know that I love you.
I love you.
And the door opens
I'm
at this
sorry.
point. And you see the two guards coming in and saying it's time.
And Darjan calls for the guards.
No, don't. Please don't.
Varsha comes in. I'm sorry for the two of you. But wherever your spirit goes, you will always be linked.
How can you let him do this? How can you let them do this?
An admission of guilt by your own tongue. I'm sorry that that is the way.
How can he accept a lie though, as guilt?
No,
Is there something you wish to tell me?
Please tell her that they didn't do it.
They
Please.
didn't do it. Like it's they did not do it. Why would they do it?
nor my friend. Please take them. I do not want them to see what happens next.
Darshan, please, if this is all a lie, don't give us that noble shit. Come on. Did you do this? Look me in the eye and say that you did. And I'll do as you say. Prove it to me.
Darshan looks you in the eye and says, I was guilty the moment the blade slashed her throat. And even before then. And I think only Nor would see a flash of like an eye look towards Maggie in like a fraction of a second. Not intentional.
But do I notice that?
Oh yeah, Nor would be the only one who sees that. Please. Take them and go.
The law is clear, and I am but a humble servant of the law.
Law is bullshit.
I know. I hug Darjan close. And I whisper, I hope in the next life I'd be a better friend to you.
You were always a
Of
good
all the
friend.
happiness you have. And with one last glance, I start to take Maggie and Nassim away.
No, don't you touch me. Don't you touch me. And I'm going to blast Noor.
Ooh.
Noor. Describe describe to me how you take an entire, I'm guessing, magic missile?
Yeah. Which of us describe?
It's your
Yeah.
action.
Okay.
I'm just out of reflex. I'm blasting just indiscriminately. And just like hands out, like, don't touch me. And
I'm gonna say, unless either of you have any objection, with your indiscriminately, your magic missile gets Maggie and Noor right, like, full center.
Oh yeah, I take it full blast. Like
Maggie
Just like
wasn't
a-
prepared
like
to
a-
actually dodge, but so she eats a magic missile.
Or
just like
you
an
can
impulsive
dodge.
cast.
Yeah, or you can dodge if you want. Noor
No,
takes.
she wasn't prepared for
I'll
that.
take it. I would not have
You both.
I would not have seen that ever coming from Nassim.
You both slump to the floor, unmoving.
Yeah,
And-
I think I make like a little crater, like an impact on the wall, and
Yeah.
then drag down. KO.
Yeah.
And
TPK.
Varsha, you see what happens, and you see Nassim looking, I imagine, crazed.
Yeah, she sees, she's like going to carry Darjan away. Look, hears the like magic tingling, whips around like eyes wide, like oh no, and sees Nassim blast the two of them with the magic like still crackling at Nassim's fingers. She grabs her staff and like does the sweep to the back of the leg, bam, thwap to the front of the chest, and then pins Nassim down with the staff and says, my friend, you have made such a foolish mistake. And if you are that determined to be together, then you will both depart this world and you will enter the next life hand in hand. I wish it could have ended differently.
And your vision, Varsha, you come back to the present as you recall everything that happened.
Yeah, so I have a thought, a quick scene that I want to do.
Sure.
That's like, so that the days after that, like she takes everyone away, they bury the bodies. She watches Darjan and Nassim's execution, just like stone faced, and she goes to sleep that night and she hears the voices in their head over and over, like they wouldn't do this, they wouldn't do this, tell them the truth, it's a lie, tell them the truth, tell them the truth. She wakes up in a cold sweat. She goes to the altar in her bedroom and she makes a small sacrifice, a small offering to her deity, and asks, since I have this move, divine guidance, that says
Yes.
like you can ask questions about knowledge related to your deity's domain, which is healing and restoration.
Yep.
She says, who was the murderer? And the spirit that she speaks to
Is
says,
the mother.
yeah,
And laughs at you and gives you the most sort of patronizing laugh of, oh, you fool.
right.
And says, and the word she uses is, my worthless daughter basically corrupted my child, and you, like a fool, killed the wrong people.
And she sits there for a moment in like stunned silence with tears coming down her eyes, and she takes some kind of symbol, maybe a gift, like a clasp or a bracelet of some kind, that was given to her by Darjan and Nassim as like a thank you, and she puts it in the fire, and she says, spirits, for my foolishness, my blind desire to do what is just, but not what is right. I implore you, strike this moment from my memory, that I may never have to carry this burden again. And she tosses the jewelry into the fire. And then, like, has that moment of, like, vroom, vroom, like, being pulled back out. And, like, whatever is happening in the house, like, reawakens that within her.
Yeah. And I did want to have a scene after, but we are at least half hour past our stream time, so I feel like this is a good, at least sort of a thematic what happened conclusion. Maybe not a conclusion that the current characters have. But yeah. And thus the tragic tale of what happened in the Haveli has come to light. So yeah. So very quickly before we end, we'll go around the table and I guess say whatever you'd like to say, what you liked about, or what you didn't like about the stream, also where we can find you, any projects to plug. Let's go around the other way around. So I'll start with Russ.
Hi, I'm Russ. You can find me on Twitter at RussWildest. You can also find me on the podcast I run called Prism Pals, at Prism Pals on Twitter. It is a all LGBTQ plus family friendly D&D podcast. And in addition, I'm working on a Pan-Asian anthology that's probably coming out next year sometime. So
Amazing.
Yay.
Lauren.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I played Nassim tonight. If you liked that crying, you could hear me doing a lot more of it in various audiobooks, all of which can be found on my website, lwsalinas.com. There's also a link to my Twitter there, which is Sithwitch. And yeah, everybody was so amazing. Mariam, you were fantastic as always. And I really loved how you did the past life stuff.
Thank you. All right, next is Simon.
Hello, I'm Simon. You can find me on Twitter at Lucha Libris. If you are interested in seeing other ways of which I tell stories, you can play the 1920s Deco Punk LARP that I run called Attaway. It's attawaylarp.com if you're in the New England area. Come check it out. Be a magic booze running gangster in the 1920s. It's super gay. If you also like very queer stories, I'm a contributing voice actor to the Penumbra podcast, which is a queer as hell sci-fi and fantasy audio drama. So you can hear me in season 2 and maybe in season 3. I was so honored to be in this group with such fantastic role players and great storytellers. Y'all are super good at just throwing yourselves into drama. And I was super excited to see how the backwards and forwards time dilation worked in a story, and I was not disappointed. That was hats off to you.
Thank you. And next we have Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
And see.
I know I did at the beginning, but I still got it, y'all. Anyhow, I'm Morgan. I played Maggie. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Serena Bezos. I also do actual play podcast called Red Death on the Roll to Play Network. I'm also in the works of other podcast stuff with things and stuff, so be on the lookout for that. You can also find me doing live streams on Victory Condition Gaming, like last night where I ran Monster Hearts, where Miriam played
a unicorn.
And it's completely goofy and lighthearted compared to this, so I was like, what's going on? Anywho, but I'm also on Welcome to the Party with a bunch of these nerds as well. So you can find us there as well. Yeah, we got into some deep shit tonight.
Yep.
Let's just unpack that right then and there.
And we
I
will
haven't cried
definitely
on cue in a while, so
Aw.
thanks.
And last certainly not least, Gemma.
Hi.
Oh, Gemma, honey.
Oh.
I'm Gemma. You can find me at Kupo Night on the Discords and on Twitter. On Twitter, it's Kupo Night, O's with a 0, and then Kupo Night on Discord. You can find me streaming and playing games because that is my life now. Saturday evenings at it's 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for me. Is Adventures in Agni, a D&D homebrew with Phoenix Femme or Angela as a DM, and Mariam as a player, as a fellow player. And right now, Mondays, I'm in a mini series called Mictim, Fluffy Adventures, and I get to be a cute hamster creature thing with no deaths and drama at all. It's just nice, fluffy adventures. And Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific, I am at the Nerds with Dice channel, and I'm streaming another mini series called 15 Days in Pasadena, run by Nerdy Teddy, and it is we're using Capers Nor, so it's a lot of like murder mystery with demons and souls and all that jazz in the 1940s, so very hip and cool. So yeah, that's where you'll find me. And yeah, I'm feeling all the feels right now. This was too real. Lots to unpack.
Yep.
Mariam, you're the best.
Thank you.
I love you, but you gave me so much feels.
You all gave me such feels as well. So as for myself, I am Miriam. This is my first ever stream on my personal Twitch, so thank you all for being a huge part of it. In addition, you can find me on Twitter only, really. Everything else, it's the same ID as my channel. It's media_junkie, where you can find me on Twitter. I am also the creator and GM of the Musafirs, which is also set in Sarzameen. And I've got some cool things coming up. We're on a break. We'll be starting up again in November, and then very soon we should be seeing an episode with Russ, and I think that'll probably come out sometime in December. So stay tuned for that. And I'm also in Adventures of Agni, and I will actually be a guest player for Mictim this coming Monday, where I get to be a fluffy teenage hamster creature. We'll see where we go from there. I see in chat that we need to have a resolution. Hopefully we can maybe after we have some time to sort of decompress and everything, we can certainly try to do that again. Probably not until, I imagine, January, because I'm just busy with cons. And as for, let's see what else happens on this channel. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to go with it yet. This was just the start of many great things. Hopefully. And thank you so much for staying tuned and watching, and all the follows. So many follows and 2 raids. Thank you so much. Welcome to the party, and Mercs of Mischief for raiding. Appreciate you all. And I'm now gonna say, I'm just gonna stop streaming. Goodbye.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Have some candy.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I want candy.